Did you see my Chef Kirby Magic 8-Ball?
No, what the hell?
Hey, grab him. Ask him a question and then pull his frying pan down. I don't even remember getting that.
What? Where?
I think it came from like a McDonald's or some shit.
No, sorry, it came from China. It's China right
my
there.
bad.
That's
Came from China.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 73.
Woo.
As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker. And as always, I am joined by resident old bastard Chris Saturn.
Hello.
It's been like two weeks since we did a normal show, so
right.
I almost messed it up.
Yeah, I saw that.
That would have been embarrassing.
Yeah.
Our final triumphant return, and I'm like, it's the show welcomes, and we're here now, so yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Yeah. We are for our... Well, it's for everyone, but
right.
also for our video viewers. We are in we're recording somewhere new. We're in your game room.
Oh, we're in my game room.
Which is much roomier than my game room.
Yeah.
Which my game room is tiny. Well, my game room's not tiny.
No,
it's just filled with
too
much big shit.
Yeah, it's not that you have too many things. It's that
Right.
the things that you have are very large.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yours is like games, controllers, boxes.
Yeah.
Mine's a 350-pound CRT.
Yes. That's taking up a lot of the room.
L desk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a Neo Geo.
Neo Geo, yeah, but it's required.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Right.
It's
Yeah,
well,
you've got your Neo Arcade and yours. I've got a shitty Atari Game Center. I feel like you might win there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that Metal Slug beats every Atari game ever made.
Yes. But I do have my GBA clock.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that they made clocks for the GBA. That was a thing. That was a
it
marketing
plugs
ploy?
into the e-reader.
Anyway, we are back. I do want to apologize to listeners about the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because last week you had something come up,
Yeah.
and I was so sick. The night before we recorded, I told you I was sick.
Right.
I didn't elaborate. I was throwing up all night harder than I've ever thrown up in my whole life. It was like that really like hard throwing up,
That's no good.
So that was not fun. And the week before that we recorded the day before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So we've had like two kind of subdued,
like half checked out episodes.
Yeah, not normal shows in a row,
Yeah.
So it's been weird.
Yeah.
And then now this week, I was worried about it because we're in a new place, but it's fun.
Right.
It's exciting being in here. I'm the whole time I'm staring at all of your games.
It's okay. I do that at your house every week. I'm constantly...
You're mentally comparing.
Yeah,
You
I'm
can't
like
not
staring
do
at
it.
your
Yeah.
NES games like, ooh, that one's good. Why haven't I bought that yet?
Anyway, here we are. We're back. Things are normalizing,
Yes.
I will say. We're in the process of normalizing things anyway.
Right.
And I did have stuff.
Uh-oh.
Before I forget...
Mm-hmm.
I did want to mention that I have been trying to record myself playing Lagrange Point, which is a Konami Famicom RPG.
Yeah.
You may be aware of it.
Yeah.
And
It did not come out over here, though.
No, it was fan translated in
Right.
2014.
Yeah.
So I've been working very hard to record a Let's Play of that, for our viewers.
Yeah.
But I'm fighting with my setup repeatedly, so
Right.
it's this thing where I'm like too flimmy or whatever, and for some reason, like on the show, you don't notice if I'm like clearing my throat or whatever, but when it's me sitting there and I'm like, all right, so it's Lagrange Point.
Yeah.
I'm really...
Yeah, I don't even turn on my microphone when I stream something on Twitch or YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no one wants to hear this. Because when I play games, I tend to like hum or whistle along with the soundtrack, and I'm completely silent otherwise.
I don't say anything ever when I'm playing a game.
Right.
And it's to the point that I kind of started, I went and I watched a couple guys doing some streaming.
Yeah.
Because I won't stream with a mic just because it's too difficult with a wife and a baby and everything else going on in my house. It's hard enough to just record playing video games.
Right.
So I was watching, some guys on Twitch streaming.
Sure.
And I was like, these guys just must talk all the time. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you have words to say?
Right.
I don't understand.
I run out pretty quick.
Yeah, you're sitting in a room by yourself, and you're like, well, I can read the text boxes, or I can talk about bananas.
Trying to level up in Simon's Quest here.
Lots
Just
of-
killing another skeleton.
It's a potassium in those bananas. Learned that from Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. It's one of the main plot points is the potassium levels in bananas.
I'm glad you recalled that. That's important.
Never forgotten that in my whole life. I remember being like, oh, potassium, huh? And it's just stuck. Anyway, so I have been working on that. I say working on it. I've attempted it several times and failed miserably, so
fair.
I might just quit. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Other than that, my week, I bought some games on the GOG summer sale, or not summer, winter sale.
Yeah.
It's totally not
Well, it's
even
summer
close
in
to
Australia.
summer. Yeah, there you go.
For our Australian
The Australian
viewers.
summer winter
Yeah.
sale. I bought all the enhanced editions of the old D&D games, so Baldur's Gate, Baldur's Gate 2, and Icewind Dale enhanced
All the old
edition.
BioWare ones. Yeah.
I've been playing through those. I, as someone who really loves D&D, I have tried to play those many, many times.
Yeah.
And just not done well.
Yeah, as someone who has never been a D&D person, the only one of those that I've gotten more than an hour or so into is Neverwinter, and that's only because I spent like $100 on the collector's edition, and I felt really dumb if I didn't play it more. And so I pushed myself through the main story on Neverwinter.
My issue is that they're really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you...
Yeah, I also cheated like a little bitch.
Yeah, if you don't have prior knowledge about the AD&D rules system, I don't understand how anyone can play the game. Now, luckily, as an adult, I do have prior knowledge of the AD&D rules system, so I know.
Right.
But the enhanced editions include, the original releases included difficulty modes, but it's a little... They do it better. I can't remember what was different, but I was playing Icewind Dale, and I was like, this is really hard game. And the difficulty, I can adjust it, but not in ways that are useful to me.
Right.
In the enhanced edition, it is.
Yeah.
So it like maxes out HP rolls and gives you extra luck and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So I've been playing through Baldur's Gate, and my Tuesday night D&D group, we have switched to playing Icewind Dale because I don't have time to prepare a game anymore.
Yeah.
So
You could have just prepared it in Neverwinter since it was free for a day or two there.
I got Neverwinter. The problem is that it runs in wine on my Mac.
Oh, that's weird.
Because they didn't make it for...
they didn't make a Mac client for it.
The enhanced editions are Mac native. Because even the GOG versions of like Icewind Dale, that runs in a wine wrapper.
Right,
So whenever you install the GOG version for Mac, it installs it through Wine, which still runs great. It's Wine, and it's an old game. The game's 16 years old. But I wanted to go for something Mac native because otherwise we'd have to do... we'd have to download the game. We'd have to get it running through Wine, which isn't too hard. Then we'd have to download Hamachi to connect to play. And the enhanced editions just have servers, so you just connect and go. So I've been doing that. So if anyone has any build recommendations, please, dear God, send them in because I need them. I need them. I need them so bad. Every time I make a guy, I play for like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Half that build is a total waste, and this is going to be terrible in the late game. I have to go restart again. Yay! But definitely kudos to Beamdog for remaking those. They look fantastic. They have tons of quality of life improvements. My concern is that they were just going to be like, oh, here's a widescreen mod.
Right.
And they're really not. They added a ton of really cool stuff.
Nice.
So, been playing through those. I've been very tempted by all the other sales. The GOG sale just constantly has so much good stuff.
GOG and Steam and eShop and PSN. And Microsoft did get me with one thing. I bought a new Xbone controller.
Didn't they have them for like $30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's half off.
And it's more than half off.
Are they more than 60?
Yeah, they're 69 normally.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I think.
It's a controller.
Right? And
it's not
the new
fundamentally
ones,
different stuff in it from a 360 controller.
There's not. Well, actually, the new model Xbone controllers have Bluetooth in them, so they'll sync to any Windows 10 PC and just work natively, wireless, which has been really nice. But it's still a very expensive controller.
Yeah. My brother bought, he went, I don't know if I told this on the show or not, but he went into GameStop and was like, I need an Xbox One controller. And he wanted it to play emulators on his PC.
Right.
And they were like, oh, you need this one. And they sold him the like $120 Elite one.
Jesus.
And the guy at GameStop's like, yeah, no, you need this one. This is the one you need if you're going to be using it on PC.
No.
And he came over.
All of them work on PC.
He came over and in a Windows 10 machine couldn't get it to sync for 30 minutes and then finally took it back.
Wireless or wired?
Wireless.
Yeah, I think only the newest model Elite has the Bluetooth.
That makes no...
Yeah.
It's a micro...
Yeah. Yeah, you can get a receiver for the older model Xbox One controllers, but the new ones have Bluetooth
I
native.
just assumed it would work. It's a Microsoft product, Windows 10,
If you use a USB cable, it does work.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it does. Anyway, other stuff. My Switch fund I had finally... I think I said it on the show.
Mhm.
I think I said it in a group chat with everybody. I finally saved up enough money for my Switch purchase.
Right.
And I was just going to set it aside, but now my cat has to have tooth surgery.
Oh, no. Which
so
cat?
I may... Normal.
Oh, no.
So I may have to drain my Switch fund to pay to have them remove my cat's tooth,
Oh,
which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently cats are really super prone to like dental
that sucks.
issues. But we'll see how it works. But it's
Yeah.
also the holidays, so
Yeah.
and I got to buy toys for a tiny human that won't
That is
remember
true.
them.
That is true.
You know,
that is
which is-
important.
Just seems weird to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my daughter, but
Right.
dear God.
You got another year and a half before she remembers anything.
Right? At least. I don't remember anything before like 9.
Right now, you could just tell her that you hate her and punt her every day, and she won't even know.
She might repress a little bit of that.
Maybe a little.
Courtney goes, we got to get Harper Christmas presents, and I go, yeah, we do every day. She has electricity and water and a caring father and television
Yeah.
and a dog, and there's presents every day. Everything's a present.
She doesn't have to work. She.
If you start her on presents this young, then by
Yeah.
the time she's like 15, we're gonna have to really go all out
yeah.
to impress her.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look at like Power Wheels. 15-year-olds like Power Wheels, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I was normal. Only other thing, I did watch the first half of Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Harper. I forgot how good that movie is.
It is
It's
good.
such a good movie.
I remember we saw that for Andrew's birthday at the theater.
Was that... I saw it with you guys. I
Yeah.
remember seeing it in theaters, but I didn't remember who I went
It was
with.
me, you, Andrew, Robbie, and I think maybe Josh. And I remember there weren't enough seats left when we got there, so we had to split up which rows we were on. And so we were all just along the aisle.
Yeah.
And it was at the movie bistro in Lake Worth.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was on my lonesome. Behind me was Robbie, and then you guys were way back there.
I don't remember being at the theater with you guys at all. That sucks. I remember seeing it,
Yeah.
but I don't remember anything else. Just a really good movie.
Oh yeah, and I
Really
love
super
how
good.
many characters they licensed for it.
They got a lot. The one that I noticed that I didn't notice originally is in the beginning of the film whenever he's in that escape pod thing
Yeah.
and it's like shooting through the surge protector.
Mhm.
He hits Sonic.
Yeah.
You see him off in the corner of the screen and he starts flashing and all of his
The
rings
rings
fall out
come
of
off.
him. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Courtney didn't get like half the
Yeah.
stuff. And she's
No.
like, who's Zangief?
I love the voice they got for Zangief too. So good.
It wasn't super stereotypical, but it was
Yeah.
just enough
Yeah.
that you're like, this is great.
It was just fake Russian enough.
Anyway, that's all I had for my week. I don't know. You've got 2 weeks of stuff now
Yeah.
that you've got to.
Yeah, and sadly I don't have a whole lot for
I
that time.
don't imagine.
After unpacking all this, I realized that I have lost at least one box of shit.
Mhm.
I have no idea what happened to
It
it.
was 10 sealed copies of Earthbound.
No,
was all
no,
it was.
It was a bunch of shitty loose engage games.
Okay.
So no great loss there. Some Mario Golf branded golf balls,
Alrighty.
and tees. There were tees in it too.
Mhm.
And I don't remember what else. I thought of one other thing that I know was in that box, and it's just gone now.
No.
So some homeless person found some Mario golf balls and used them to defend his territory.
Some homeless person is playing Tomb Raider on his Engage right
That's
now,
right.
thanks to you.
That's right.
Good job, Saturn.
Yep.
Helping the homeless.
Other than that, I did play some Fantasy Zone. I was busting out my turbo the other day.
Oh, Space Fantasy Zone?
No, regular Fantasy Zone. I was
Okay.
gonna play Space Fantasy Zone, and I just got in the mood for Fantasy Zone, so I popped in regular Fantasy Zone.
Why
And I
wouldn't
played
you-
that for like 2.5 hours.
Why wouldn't you play the 3DS remake, which is superior in every way?
That's what I ended up doing.
okay.
But first, I was playing it. I already had my turbo ready, and I had my extension cable,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting back on the bed and enjoying 4K turbo.
Mm-hmm.
And And about an hour and a half of Fantasy Zone in, I was like, I have this on the 3DS. It's right there.
And it's way better.
It is a really nice port.
I was Andrew was setting up his RetroPie, so he bought a Raspberry Pi, and I set it up for him, and he came and got it and took it home. And he was having controller issues, so we were on FaceTime.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there playing mine, so we could be looking at the same thing.
Right.
And we're going through games, and I was like, oh, play this now. And I wasn't even, like, participating. I was just like, play this. And I'd listen to him playing it, and I'd be like, that's cool, now play this. And we did it for, like, an hour.
Nice.
And afterwards, I was like, I don't know what the hell that was. I enjoyed it, but I don't know what the hell that was. And he scrolled through Fantasy Zone, and he goes, why do you like that game? I was like, Fantasy Zone is amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
Just shut your mouth.
Right? There was something else I was playing. I just thought of it. Oh, yeah. No, I fixed my copy of Contra Force.
It was broken?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the plastic on the inside was broken, and so the PCB would just go up into the cartridge and never make contact.
Did you glue it?
No, I have a buddy of mine who has some custom molding kit for foam for a toolbox that he has because in the industry he works in, it is mandated that they have foam cutouts in their toolbox for each tool.
That's
that way it doesn't
strangest OSHA standard I've ever heard.
That way they don't fly around in there and end up injuring someone. Or
because he works in space.
He works on aircraft.
Okay,
so
that's like halfway space,
right? So he has all this foam custom modding shit, and so he custom built a piece of foam that would fit to the 1/10 of a millimeter inside of the NES cartridge and keep the PCB in place.
Nice.
And I tested it, and it works fine. And I forgot how garbage Contra Force is compared to the first two. Because really,
Contra Force is the one where you can change characters, right?
Yeah. Also, if you play 2-player, it lags to the point where you can't even tell what's going on.
Thanks, NES.
Like this is not standard NES lag. Normal NES lag, you just see like some choppiness and some blinkiness. No, this like cuts down to like 1/3 the frame rate, and so you're just very slowly moving.
Makes it easy. It's Gradius 3 syndrome,
right?
It's the only way you can beat the game.
Yeah. Except for there's way too many bullets. You can't actually dodge them.
I'm not a Contra. As much as I love run and guns,
right?
I'm not a Contra fan.
That's fair.
I really liked Contra 4 on DS. That was just a fantastic game all around. But I've never been super duper into Contra.
I enjoyed them in the 8-bit and 16-bit era, and I played both of the terrible ones on PS2. One of them was playable. The other one was not. I don't remember which one was which. But no, it was never anything I was super, super huge on, but I did always enjoy playing them every now and then.
I don't know. Even the NES one, the original one that everyone goes on and on about, I don't love it, man.
Well, if you have access to Metal Slug on an arcade,
that's true. Maybe
your
that's
house,
my problem. Maybe I've spoiled myself.
You have. You spoiled yourself with much better shooters.
Yeah. Anyway, let's we kind of have a big topic for this week, so I guess we'll dig into it. This week, I wanted to talk about Kirby, and this is a selfish thing. This is for me.
I've heard of Kirby
because I don't know a ton about Kirby.
Okay.
Now, I've played some Kirby games, but I realized in my adulthood that all the ones I played were the offshoot Kirby games.
Oh yeah.
Kirby's Dream Course was my first Kirby game.
Yeah, which is not a Kirby game.
Kirby Superstar or whatever, the Super Nintendo one.
That's probably the best game in the series.
It's just a bunch of mini games.
Well, it actually has a remake of the entire first game in it.
Right.
As one of the games.
I've played NES Kirby. Kirby's Dream Land.
Kirby's Adventure.
Kirby's Adventure, pardon me. Because it's... Kirby's such confusing...
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But let's start with where it came from. And I wanted to do Kirby also because it was... I think yesterday was Iwata's birthday. So
he was one of the programmers on Kirby.
It would have been 57, I
57.
believe. Also, someone has... I don't want to use the phrase uncovered. Someone purchased a set of Satellaview ROMs that contained what everyone thought were 4 lost Kirby Satellaview games. What's shitty about it is that they had to crowdfund, and this is me remembering an article, they crowdfunded the cost to purchase it from an auction from a guy who has other games that he will not release.
Right.
So
there's several people like that.
fuck that guy.
I
right
will never,
in the face.
I will never get to play Socks the Cat Rocks the Hill because some asshole
Damn.
won't release it.
So it's been in the news, and I was thinking about Kirby because it was Iwata's birthday yesterday, so
Yeah.
I thought it would be appropriate to like a week and a half later release a show about it.
Right.
So again, for years to me, Kirby was that weird golf game we had on Super Nintendo, but Kirby got its start on the Game Boy.
Yes, on the original black and white brick Game Boy.
And that was Kirby's Dream Land.
Kirby's Dream Land was the first one. In Japan, it was Kirby of the Stars, if I remember right. Hoshino Kirby,
Stars.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Japan,
Sakurai.
They were all 92, but
Yeah.
Japan was April. North America was August.
Mhm. Yeah, it was Sakurai, the same guy that does Smash Brothers.
Right.
He was the lead designer on it. The first Kirby game, the aside from just being a quality, really player-friendly, easy platformer, the notable thing about it from a historical perspective is that Nintendo of America did not know what color Kirby should be.
Right, because on the
Game Boy, he's just Game Boy color.
yeah, he's gray
Yeah.
on the box.
Yeah, he's non-colored in the game, so
He
it's
also-
the negative color.
And that was before he had his copy ability. 'Cause,
Right.
He
didn't get that until
start with that.
NES.
And he looks more in the art that I've seen for him. He looks more balloony.
Yes,
You know.
he is a balloon type Pokemon.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
what.
But no, it was
Because now he's very rounded and he looks
Yeah.
like he's a puffball.
yeah they've they've really narrowed down his appearance.
But it looked
in that first one, they didn't. Nintendo of America, their thing was he's not pink. We can't make him pink.
Right.
It'll never sell if he's pink.
right.
And Nintendo of Japan was like, oh, he's pink. and so there was some disagreement there between the East and West.
Right.
And as the games released in color, as they were inevitably going to do,
Right.
there was no going back.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because there's two Kirby's Dream Land, but NES Kirby was after that. Kirby's Adventure.
right, yeah, there's actually 3 Dreamland games.
Right, because the third one's on Super
NES.
Nintendo.
Mhm.
Now, NES Kirby is such a fantastic
Oh, yeah.
game, and it's a later NES release,
Yeah.
and it is what impresses me about the game. And I'm not going to lie and say it's one of my favorite games. It's not. I for whatever reason I appreciate the game, but I just don't love it. I
That's fair.
don't know why. I've tried it many times. I've got the 3DS
The 3D
classic 3D Classics version, which is a great version of the
yeah.
game.
The best version of the game is the GBA port, though.
Is it really?
Yes,
Which
it was Return or Nightmare in Dreamland.
that's a port of the NES one?
Mhm.
I thought that was what am I thinking? Were there 2 GBA ones?
Yeah, there was also Kirby and the Amazing Mirror.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's such a technically impressive NES game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger NES games as far as number of levels and things you can do and all that.
Absolutely.
And it, it's amazing how well that game runs, how good it looks, and there's a shit ton of copy abilities in that.
Oh
one.
yeah. I mean, it's so strange to me that they jumped from no copy ability
Yeah.
at all to like a
Yeah,
buttload
I think
of
there's
them.
like 20 some odd of them in there.
There's a freaking ton. Now, some of
yeah.
them feel kind of like repeats. Like there's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 different swords.
Right.
Or, I mean.
Yeah, but then you get UFO, which is only in like
Right.
2 levels if I remember right, but it breaks the whole fucking game open.
Was Meta Knight in the original Kirby?
There was a Meta Knight looking character in Dreamland,
But
but
he
it was
wasn't
not
named.
Meta Knight. I don't believe Meta Knight proper showed up until Adventure. Really, a lot of the things that people know Kirby for showed up in Kirby's Adventure.
Which is, while not a sequel to Dreamland, is the second Kirby
Right,
game.
yeah.
It's strange to me how early they started with the spin-offs.
Mhm.
Because after Kirby's Adventure, we have Pinball Land
Yeah, and Star Stacker probably.
and Dream Course, and then Avalanche.
Yeah.
Which is
And-
Avalanche? I don't know that
Yeah,
one.
Kirby's Avalanche is Puyo Puyo.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It's literally the same Puyo Puyo game as Dr. Robotnik's Meat and Bean Machine.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many times did
so
they
there was a
release that
Sega
game?
and a Nintendo version of that particular Puyo Puyo, and it was themed Sonic or Kirby depending on the platform.
it's amazing to me how quickly there's a game and then a sequel to the game. So at this point, people are like, okay, is this now the new standard, or is this the different one from the, that it's that pre-Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers 1 and 2 conundrum where which one is the normal one,
Well, how real quickly latched on to Kirby as not just their mascot, but their sole character.
Yeah.
For a number of years there. Like, any game that Hal made was Kirby. Like, even in Earthbound, if you go to the debug menu, the cursor is Kirby.
What's funny to me is it always makes me think back to, I think it was Miyamoto who was talking about Mario early on, and he was talking about kind of the mythos behind Mario, and the idea, and this is NES era, the idea is that, it's the same guy, but he's in all these different roles.
Yeah.
And they're not connected in any way.
Right.
There's no big grand story behind it all. It's just this is their guy that they put in these different clothes.
Yeah, the way that I heard it described through a translation of some interview was it's like Mario is the Tom Hanks of Nintendo. You can't pretend that Forrest Gump and the guy from Saving Private Ryan are the same person just because they're both Tom Hanks.
But they are both Tom Hanks.
They are both Tom Hanks, but they're not the same character. And comparing Dr. Mario to Mario Kart Mario is not congruent.
And while Mario has certainly had his share of spin-offs, which kind of been fallen off in recent years, I feel like Kirby from the beginning embraced that idea.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very much.
Oh,
I mean, Kirby, you can put Kirby in
anything. He's just a weird, adorable, squeaky thing.
I mean, the newest game, not to jump ahead of ourselves, which is way ahead of ourselves, but he's a mech pilot.
Yes.
Like, what?
And it's really good.
I heard, that's what I heard, is it's a fantastic game. But it's just shocking to me that so early they started doing these spin-offs.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got Dream Course and Avalanche, which are both Super Nintendo games. And then Pinball Land, which I own, is
Game Boy.
Which is a great pinball game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's right up there with Revenge of the Gator. It's a fantastic pinball game on Game Boy, which is the qualifier that you have to put after every Game Boy game.
Well, the first two Dreamland games are pretty solid, even if you compare them to NES games. Like the first Kirby's Dream Land, you can beat it in 20 minutes.
Right.
It's a super, super easy game. But Kirby's Dream Land 2 is about as big as Kirby's Adventure, and it introduced the Animal Pals that Hal really, really thought were going to take off.
Yeah, they thought that was a thing for Dreamland 2 and 3, right?
Yeah, Dreamland 2 and 3 and Kirby 64.
So Kirby's Dream Land 2 is next. Now, this is a original Game Boy in 1995.
It was a Super Game Boy game.
Okay.
So it did support the Super Game Boy palettes as well as the borders.
Right.
Granted, this is before Game Boy Color came out by about 3 years, if my math is right.
Was Game Boy Color 98?
Yeah, if I remember right.
Oh, my God.
So this was...
it was slated to be remade for the Game Boy Color, apparently, but was canceled.
Never happened. Nintendo Power told me it was going to fucking happen.
I feel like Nintendo wanted the Game Boy Color to be so much more of a thing than it was.
Yeah.
And it was not.
No.
Yeah.
But it did have... Let's not knock the Game Boy Color. It had some fine...
Right,
games.
no, there were some good games on it. But it just wasn't...
No, it wasn't the game changer that Nintendo thought it would be.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
glad they were
system.
already working on the Advance.
Yeah. It's the same damn system. They're just like, look, it's in color.
Yeah.
This is great. I had
Kinda.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on Game Boy Color.
Ouch.
Let me tell you, I played the shit out of that.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
I played through 5 Dragon Quest games on the Game Boy Color.
Oh my God. Would you just carry a lamp around with you everywhere you went? Or I guess you had a warm light, probably.
Yeah, no, actually I didn't. I just had really good lighting in my house. You know what? The screen on the Game Boy Color, way brighter than on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, yeah, Game Boy Advance is like looking into a dark pit.
Yes.
Like there's no...
Yeah, you try to play Castlevania on there, you might as well be looking into a wormhole into a Game Boy.
I remember the day I got Circle of the Moon. I was playing it outside on a sunny summer day in a
still
car.
couldn't see it.
Couldn't see a thing. No, not at all. Because anytime you're anywhere bright enough, all you see is reflections.
Yes.
Like, at least make it matte finish.
Right.
Whatever the Neo Geo Pocket Color did, I don't know what magic they had going on, but I can see that in damn near darkness.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
The Game Boy Color was similar. And not quite as good a screen as the NGPC, but similar.
It was much more reflective
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, so Dreamland 2 was pretty effing huge. It was nearly as big as Kirby's Adventure, if not bigger. I'd have to go back and play it again.
I've not played this one at all. Most of them I've poked around with for a couple minutes on emulators here and there. This one I had no idea.
Which one?
Kirby's Dream Land 2.
Oh, Dreamland 2? Yeah.
No idea at all.
Yeah, it's real solid. I almost didn't end up playing it just because of how stupid the animal friends looked.
Mm-hmm.
And then
they do look very Hamtaro.
Yeah, and then I rented the 64 Kirby game, and I got the Spark ability, and I had just found the cat animal friend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have the Spark ability and the cat, the way he uses the Spark is the cat just rubs you on the ground and collects static electricity, and it's adorable.
I haven't heard of this one. Kirby's Block Ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a Arkanoid clone on the Game Boy.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
and this is when we get to the dreaded Kirby Superstar. I'm not a fan of
so
Kirby
much.
Superstar.
Really?
Now I know there is like a full game in it.
There's 2 or 3 full games in it, and then a couple of little spin-off mini games.
Because I'm not a fan. I don't know. I don't want to say it's bad games. I haven't played it long enough. The times I did play it, it felt too disjointed, and I was like, "There's all this stuff, but there's not. It's not just like one game." And I don't really know.
When I went into it, I thought of it like Mario All Stars, where it's a collection of games rather than a game.
See, it was never presented to me that way, and I think it was this thing where it was after I learned that Kirby's Dream Course is not normal Kirby,
right?
And I was like, "Oh, well, I'll go play a normal Kirby game."
Yeah.
And I get this one, and I'm like, okay, so he just has like a million different kinds of games, and nobody ever.
That is technically true.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But what I was after was like mainline Kirby.
Yeah, the main story games in Dream and Superstar are some of the best Kirby games.
Mm-hmm.
I would say at this point, the best Kirby games are going to be Nightmare in Dreamland, maybe Return to Dreamland.
Mm-hmm.
Return to Dreamland on the Wii is phenomenal.
Yeah, that one came out, and it, again, like so many other Kirby games, the Wii Kirby game I bought was Kirby's Epic Yarn, and then I skipped Return to Dreamland. I just, whatever, I have like...
really bad luck at picking them.
Yeah, I'm like,
because Epic Yarn is awful.
I'll get Kirby's Dream Course, but I don't want this dumb Kirby Superstar thing. And I remember on the DS, they remade Kirby Superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to get that, and I ended up buying like some dumb RPG I never played ever.
Yeah, I don't remember what the Kirby game on DS was where they all had phones.
Phones?
Maybe that was Amazing Mirror, actually. That might have been Amazing Mirror on the G.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you have the 4 different Kirbys, and they can all call each other on the little Kirby cell phones so that they can meet back up. That was a weird one. I never ended up finishing that one.
Next up is Star Stacker, which is another Kirby puzzle game.
Yeah, puzzle spinoff.
Of course. And then Kirby's Dream Land 3. Now, this one, I've seen people bitch about the art style in this one.
Yeah.
I like it.
It looks very crayon-y, which on the Super NES is really impressive that it looked that well.
Absolutely.
It is probably one of my least favorite in the series.
Really?
Just because it's really dry and it's really slow paced.
The North American box art has a thing that looks like kind of a slime on it.
Yeah, I know. I've got it right here. But yeah, it's if I remember right, that thing's name is Gooey. And there's also a female one with a little bow on its head.
That's not child appropriate.
Right.
Gooey. I've played minutes of Dreamland 3.
See, my big issue with Dreamland 3 is it felt like a giant step back from Superstar. Whereas Superstar was really fast-paced, and you could have your little partner friend that was whatever you wanted it to be based on your ability.
Mm-hmm.
Dreamland 3, your only partner was Gooey, and he was stupid, and he couldn't do shit. And there were less abilities in the game, and it was slower paced, and the levels seemed larger, but there seemed to be less in them. So I never was a fan of Dreamland 3. I tried to push myself through
flack.
it. Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like it gets flack because it was after Superstar.
Yes, I would say that's if it had come out before Superstar, I bet it would be much better remembered.
Yeah, and it was a late 97.
Oh yeah, it was after the N64 came out.
That's pretty damn late.
Yeah, I never saw it for sale in a store.
Wow.
The only way I got it was used from a Blockbuster, and that's the only place I'd ever seen it was in Blockbusters.
This is when we get into the era, because I have familiarity with some of the early Kirby stuff and some of the newer Kirby stuff. This is my dark period for Kirby. This is when I I think it was an age thing.
Yeah.
Because I was right around like 12,
Yeah.
13.
Also, this is when everybody was veering towards PlayStation.
Right. And
Yeah.
well, and Kirby was, and we haven't talked about, but Kirby was a kid game.
Yeah, and it embraces that. It
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
try to. Okay, the American box art tries to make him look hardcore.
Yeah,
he's not hardcore.
But it was this thing where, like you said, a lot of gamers were shifting to, the PlayStation aesthetic,
Yeah.
which is hyper realism. How nitty gritty, dark brown can we make this?
Everything needs to be for adults, even if it's E-rated.
Yeah, everything has to be Metal Gear and Siphon Filter and Bushido Blade.
And if it's going to be kid friendly, it needs to be at least Crash Bandicoot, where it's a smartass.
Right.
Yeah.
So it in Kirby. And that's
never
a great point.
changed. He remained an adorable puffball.
Kirby
throughout.
has this. There's this honesty to him.
Yeah.
Where he was totally just separate from all of the like snark and sarcasm that came out of the 90s.
Yeah.
He
that
just-
being said, in Smash Brothers Brawl, when you absorb Snake's powers and he has the little snake bandana on, that's possibly the most adorable thing ever.
Yeah. But it was there was this innocence to Kirby, and they to this day they've never let it go, not one time.
No.
And even I'm sure you've not watched any of it, but even in the cartoon, he's just like this dumb, oblivious, just a completely just like has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, like if King Dedede had half a brain, he could have destroyed him decades ago.
Yeah, and really the only dark brooding anything is Meta Knight,
Right.
which is so not touched on.
Yeah, like in some of the games, there's some really dark shit when you get to the end. But you have to get to the end.
Now, did they ever explain Meta Knight's deal? Does anyone ever? Is he just like he's like Kirby, but he's a douche?
He's the hardcore one.
There's no storyline. There's no there's no like
various
implied Proto Man kind of thing or anything like that.
There's little storylines throughout, but from what I've been able to gather, they are weak and contradictory. So it's just, here's an adorable universe and enjoy it. Like
Right.
I'm to understand the TV show does a better job at making a story for everything, but I only saw the one episode that was on GBA video, and and I think an episode came free with the Wii Dream Collection.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is my entire... Like, I remember when I got it on the Wii Dream Collection, because GBA videos never had opening credits, because there's only so much storage for 120p video on a GBA cart. So when I got this, it actually had the opening credits, and I was like, that's the dumbest song I've ever heard.
You never heard the song?
No, I had never heard...
Kirby, star of the show.
Yeah, no, actually, you know where I had heard it first? Donkey Konga. And
Right.
I thought
It's in Donkey Konga?
Yeah, I think it was either Donkey Konga or DDR Mario Mix. One of those. It has that in there. I thought they made it up. I thought that was just some bullshit. Some guy got really drunk and was like, let's do this. But no, and then I saw it on there. I was like, why? Why would you torture children like that?
And for a while, they were really pimping out Kirby Right Back at You on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to... They kind of... Nintendo kind of tried to do this weird video service on 3DS, but they didn't really do anything with it. And so it was like, a new episode of Kirby Right Back at You on your 3DS.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was introduced to the Kirby theme song.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it thinking, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I love this.
You know, the Kirby TV series ran much longer than I thought it did.
I didn't know it was a full-fledged series. I thought it was this thing like they're doing that new Pokemon Generations or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a mini series of 5-minute episodes.
Yeah.
I just assumed it tied into a game or something.
No, it was
It's a
on
thing.
Fox for years.
And it totally was completely under my radar the
Yeah,
whole
like
time.
during the GameCube era, it was on Fox.
And oddly enough, Nintendo is very lax. It's on a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's all over YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can pretty much watch the whole thing for free
Right.
on YouTube. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Well, I think part of it is that Nintendo doesn't own the full copyright to the character.
I guess so, because it's partially HAL.
Because it's HAL Labs.
Yeah.
You know, prior to Kirby, the only HAL game that I remember was Lolo. And I loved Lolo. And Lolo is a boss in the first Kirby game. You have to kill him.
Oh, Jesus.
And his girlfriend Lala.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And
So what is? I mean, they're practically. Are they the same creatures?
what's that?
Lolo, Lala, and Kirby.
No.
Because they all look the same.
Because Kirby is more like putty-like, whereas Lolo is more
They're like
poofball.
fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So they're very similar though, very similar.
So dark era for Kirby for me starts with Kirby 64
Yeah.
Crystal Shards.
Yeah, which has some good ideas, but I would say it has the same poor execution that Dreamland 3 has.
Really?
The cool part about 64 was you could mix abilities. So if you got fire and then some enemy had needle, you could spit your fire at it, and then you would have fire needle ability. And so you would shoot out flaming darts.
I don't think they've done that in a Kirby since, and that's
No.
a really cool idea.
Just 64 did the mixing abilities, and it really turned out really well. Or you could get 2 fires and have super massive fireballs. So it was a really cool concept, but the game itself, just like Dreamland 3, really slow paced, really large empty worlds.
Yeah. After that is Tilt and Tumble, which I remember for being a bright pink cartridge.
Game Boy Color.
That no middle school boy would ever be caught dead.
Got it right over here,
sticking out of his Game Boy.
Yeah.
That was...
It was one of Nintendo's earliest forays into motion sensing.
Yep. Which the Game Boy, they did some weird shit with, because Game Boy Color, I can only think of one weird cartridge, and it was Pokemon Pinball.
Oh yeah.
And it had the battery
Rumble.
in the cartridge and the rumble,
Yeah,
right?
Vigilante 8 also had it.
But it was the same thing.
Yeah, it looked identical to the Pokemon Pinball
And
cart.
then GBA, you've got Boktai, you've got Kirby Tilt and Tumble,
Yeah.
you've got
WarioWare
Twisted. There's the only three I can think of, but still.
Yeah, there were some very weird Game Boy carts.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there was the whole DS Rumble Pack that was a Game Boy
That
Advance
was a Game Boy
cart.
Advance card
Yeah.
that came with Metroid.
Metroid Hunters.
I wonder what happened if you just put that in a Game Boy. Do
It-
anything?
Nothing.
No.
Just it hangs on the Game Boy logo.
That's lame.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Yeah, and again, we talked about it a little bit, but there's an age thing, and maybe it's just a thing that boys go through.
Right.
But they're like, oh, that's dumb and for kids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lame. I don't want that. It's bright
Right.
pink. And so it's like from like 10 to like 19.
Right.
That era. And then when you're older than 19, you're like, I don't care if it's pink. It's
Right.
cool. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you're younger than that, it's fine.
Some kids get over it around 19.
Yeah.
Other guys are 40, hanging out at the gym, trying desperately to avoid all the pink things.
I don't think many of those kind of guys listen to our show
No.
to begin with.
Right.
But, or at least not the Kirby episode. Probably not. Kirby's pink. That's lame. But it was right in that era, and this is why
Right.
it was that. I'm like, oh, a bright pink sparkly cartridge. I'm not gonna put that in my Game Boy.
Yeah,
no,
see,
thank you.
In high school, and I was in high school from 97 to 01, so right in the heart of the PlayStation 1 era. I remember trying to subtly convince some of my guy friends that Kirby was cool. I'd be like, "No, these games are pretty good."
They'd like open their locker and there'd be a Kirby plush in there, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's pretty sweet, isn't it? That's sweet
like
Kirby."
They would be at my house and we'd be fucking around on emulators and shit, and they'd be like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Kirby," and they're like, "Isn't that the gay pink thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is pretty gay and pink, but the game's pretty good. What's it play like? Like Mario, but gayer and pink."
Thanks, 90s.
Yeah, and so I tried to get them, and a few of them did come on board and decided that Superstar was amazing,
Yeah.
and that Kirby's Adventure was excellent. And so some of them slowly came on board and were like, all right, I can appreciate Kirby.
Right.
But it was a slow process. It's not just like you show up at school in a bright pink T-shirt with a Kirby on it.
Right, with your bright pink sparkly Game Boy cartridge.
That was not going to happen.
It was also that during that same time that I threw aside Pokemon, really all of Nintendo, except for some stuff on the GameCube, Pikmin, Metroid, things like that. But it was it was just that era for me.
Right.
Every boy goes through
Right.
it. After this there's Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, which is like I
The
said, it's a
remake of Adventure. But an excellent remake. It looks incredible. It plays really well. They changed some of the levels just barely so that they would fit better on the GBA screen.
Now, would you recommend Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland or Kirby 3D Classics version?
Nightmare in Dreamland.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I gotta get it.
Yeah, it's
Now I know I have the inferior version of Kirby. Damn!
just because the controls are polished up a
Which
bit.
Kirby's on? Is it on the NES Classic? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it is the latest game on the NES Classic.
Maybe I'll-
Because they didn't put Wario's Woods on there.
Oh.
Which I believe is the only first-party game after Kirby's Adventure, if I remember right.
Yeah. Probably. Next up, and this is one I've not played at all, but I remember it came out, and I remember seeing it, and I remember thinking, oh, they're trying to make Kirby kind of edgy, and it's Kirby's Air Ride.
Oh, yeah. Kirby's A-button simulator.
On the cover, he just looks hardcore.
Yeah, on the American cover. Look up. Just go to Google, and this is for everyone listening. Right. Go to Google and search American Kirby is hardcore. There's like this giant picture that just compares box arts from all of the Japanese and American Kirby games.
And this is not an exclusive to Kirby thing.
No.
They do it with like Bonk and everyone else.
And Bomberman and all of them. But Kirby has been a particular target on Nintendo's radar for a long time. And you can see literally every Kirby cover from, I think it's Adventure on, or it might be Dreamland 2 on. Mm-hmm. He has angry eyes on the U.S. cover. And in the Japanese cover, he's always smiling and happy.
Right.
And in the U.S. version, he always has angry eyes.
Yeah, there is Kirby's Air Ride versus the Japanese one.
Yeah.
They also make him, if you look, he's less pink.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's
they
more
tone
like
that down
flesh
too.
Colored.
Exactly. That's a Nintendo of America thing.
Yeah.
They have been trying hard.
Look at this American Kirby ad.
Yeah.
This is a mug shot.
Oh yeah,
and
I
it looks
that.
like he just stabbed a guy.
That was for Dream Course.
What?
Yeah.
How does that? What is? How does that make any sense?
Yeah, Nintendo tried hard to make Kirby look like a badass to Americans for some reason, and they finally gave up around 2013.
Yeah.
Is when they accepted who Kirby is.
This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Air Ride, I remember people enjoying Air Ride.
I don't know why.
But I never played it.
Okay, so I pre-ordered it. I gave Nintendo $50 American for it. And let me explain how Air Ride works.
Okay.
You hold the A button, and then you win, and then the next course starts, and you hold the A button again. Like, occasionally you have to do something else, but 90% of the time you're just holding the A button.
Well, that's good. You know, it's a video. It's getting ready for all the QuickTime events in
that's
video
right.
games.
No, there's no timing involved. You just keep holding it.
Next up, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. And I feel like this is the first in the line of Kirby games that have become the regular thing where instead of these mainline Kirby games, it's Kirby and then here's this weird tweak.
Yeah, it's Kirby plus gimmick.
Yeah.
And that seems to be where they've wanted to land lately.
Right, which I like. It's a good mixture of, I don't want to feel like I'm buying some dumb offshoot and then in 6 months they're like, here's Dreamland 4. You know, like, which I guess was Return to Dreamland.
Yeah.
But that's where they kind of started that, which was Amazing Mirror.
That one was built obviously using the Nightmare and Dreamland engine. Mm-hmm. It looks almost identical to Nightmare and Dreamland, except for they all have adorable little cell phones.
That's one of the Ambassador games. I'm gonna have to actually play that.
Nice.
And then we get into kind of this is now like the mainline Kirby offshoot, I guess, which is Canvas Curse.
Oh yeah.
Which just received a sequel. In Canvas Curse, people freaked out about Canvas Curse. People lost their minds. This is 2005, and everyone's going, this is it. This is the gameplay that proves this proof of concept for the stylus.
No.
This is why you need a stylus, because look, you have to draw Saturn.
And the thing is, just before that came out, Namco had released Pack and Roll.
I remember that. That game sucked.
Yeah, it did, real bad. And so all these like classic, prestigious Japanese games were getting these shitty stylus knockoffs. And it was really pissing me off.
Right.
Because I didn't enjoy any of them. Because I tried Canvas Curse, I tried Pack and Roll. They're all terrible.
The worst offenders for me were the 2 Zelda games on DS.
Yeah.
Which were great games that you had to play with a fucking stylus.
You know, which one was first? Phantom Hourglass? It's Phantom
Hourglass was first.
Yeah. So a buddy of mine, diehard Zelda fan, been playing them since the NES. Absolutely loves the series. Like, has a Triforce tattoo on his shoulder. Loves Zelda. And he suffers from COPD. He in his 20s.
I don't know what that is.
It's a chronic respiratory syndrome.
Okay.
It means that you can't hold breath very well.
Right.
And normally it's a disease that people in their 70s get.
Right.
But he got it in his 20s because he's very unfortunate. He could not play that game because you're supposed to breathe into the fucking mic to get ship to go.
Oh, no, you just rub it with your thumb.
Yeah, well, he learned that after he got rid of it.
my God.
And he just got super pissed at Nintendo. He like sent him a shitty letter.
Yeah.
They sent him a free like Zelda package that was like a poster and a sticker.
Yeah.
And then like, sorry you couldn't play it. Have a sticker.
I kind of want a sticker.
Right.
I'll take a sticker instead of Phantom Hourglass.
Right.
And then after that, I don't remember this one. This was a 2006 game, Squeak Squad.
Yeah. It was on DS if I remember right.
Which is, again, it's Kirby plus gimmick.
Was that the one with the cell phone? That might have been the one with the cell phone. I don't remember.
I don't see any cell phones.
Yeah, then it was Amazing Mirror that had the cell phone. Squeak Squad was DS, and it was basically the follow up to Amazing Mirror.
Yeah, and then this is the one that we're gonna. Well, there's two more games I want to touch on. Kirby Superstar Ultra, which is the DS remake, which, again, I don't love the game, but it's a very good remake.
Yeah, it's an excellent remake. I still prefer the Super NES one, probably just for nostalgia, but the DS one is excellent. And it's gone up in price too now. So if you can manage to get it, grab it.
I really, for the scope of our show, I don't want to dig into Epic Yarn or Return to Dreamland or anything. That's post 2010 stuff. That's
I will say though, Return to Dreamland feels more like the classic Kirby games.
Right. I mean, I would say that's Dreamland 4 if anybody's looking for it.
The one other one that I would mention that's more recent is the Dream Collection on the Wii.
That was going to be my last one. I was going to say Dream Collection.
Yeah, because you've got Kirby's Dream Land 1, 2, 3, Kirby's Adventure, Kirby
Superstar and 64.
And 64.
Wow, 64 in a collection on the Wii? You didn't see that very often.
No.
Ever, I don't think, except for this.
It was just straight up Virtual Console versions of all of them, including the 2 Game Boy ones, which that's, so far as I know, the only Game Boy Virtual Console games on the Wii.
I believe it is, yeah.
And
I believe you're correct.
if I remember right, Dreamland 2 actually had full Super Game Boy emulation, which we don't even see that on the 3DS Virtual Console.
Of course not. Why would they include that? That's just a thing that everybody loved, and then they got rid of it.
Exactly.
Did it include any bonuses?
Yeah, it included an episode of the TV show, or maybe a couple episodes of the TV show.
Here it is, from the anime Kirby right back at ya. Kirby comes to... I almost said Crappy Town. Kirby comes to Cappy Town, crusade for the blade, and waddle while you work.
Okay, 3 episodes then. And then also it came with the soundtrack CD. And there was like a little gallery where you could see like all the Kirby cover arts, the American ones, because he's hardcore now,
right?
And also you would see
next one they're just going to cover him in blood. It's just going to be like a Splatterhouse cover.
They've toned him down now. Now they're going to mirror the Japanese style more.
Okay,
but until like 2012, 2013, they tried so hard.
Yeah,
to make him look like a badass.
Well, the newest one, Kirby
the
newest Kirby,
Planet Robobot,
that's pretty bright and colorful.
Yeah,
but even then, he
got
has
like
the
angry face.
Yeah, angry face and little goggles.
So far as I'm aware, he has the angry face on the Japanese version of Robobot too.
Yeah, that one seems a little more
Mickey.
Yeah, like hardcore Kirby, I guess. I don't even know.
It's as close to hardcore as Kirby gets anyway.
Yeah, it kind of worries me because I'm like, what if the next one is like World War II Kirby? And then we're like, shit, they did it.
I want to see the next one be a Kirby Snatcher crossover. Like it's in a Kojima-written post-apocalyptic wasteland.
So let's get into final recommendations. I would say let's... recommend one version of mainline Kirby and one spin-off Kirby.
All right.
For people that are like, hey, I don't want to dig into 400 Kirby games. I got a weekend and an emulator. What should I play to get my Kirby fix?
My answer to both of those is Superstar.
Okay. I guess it is both. Yeah.
That's because and of those, I would say that the main line that you should play on there is either going to be Revenge of Meta Knight or Great Cave Offensive, and the spin-off you should play is just the Quick Draw. I don't remember what it's called, but just play the Quick Draw Kirby. That's the only game you need for the rest of your life.
I hated that dumb Quick Draw.
You just play it forever. That you'll just throw out all your other games and just Quick Draw Kirby. That's all you needed.
Of course. What else would you need?
No, the Gourmet Race is my spin-off on that.
Really?
One. Yeah.
I don't like that one either.
Really?
I don't like any of the mini games in Superstar. Maybe that's why I don't like it, because I'm like, oh, they have these good Kirby games and they put a bunch of crap in there too.
Yeah, they did.
They
did pad it a lot.
Yeah.
No, if we're doing a full game spin-off, You know what? Never really enjoyed any of the spin-off Kirby games.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you consider Epic Yarn a spinoff?
No, I just consider it a bad game.
That thing got so much praise when it came out, and I was like, it's not fun.
I don't know why.
There's no when
I
there's no
didn't enjoy it at all.
consequences. What's the point?
Yeah, I did not like that.
It's like going back and playing like Galaga on an emulator, and you're like, it loses the fun because I'm not spending money.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah, I would say probably Pinball Land. Pinball Land or Tilt and Tumble, one of those two.
Pinball Land was really good. I didn't ever play Tilt and Tumble.
Yeah.
For me, it would be Kirby's Adventure
Mm-hmm.
because that's just still my favorite mainline Kirby that
Yeah.
I've put any actual time
Right.
into. And then Kirby's Dream Course. God, I love Kirby's Dream Course.
Dream Course is really good.
And it's such a long... There are so many courses
My
in that game.
my
It is
first
long.
experience with Dream Course was on an emulator.
Really?
And there is a anti-piracy measure in Dream Course that was flagged on every emulator back then.
Mhm.
Now the emulators can get right around it. But
Right.
back then, if you had a proper dump of
Mhm.
Kirby's Dream Course, not like a hacked ROM,
Right.
it would not regenerate your tomatoes when you hit enemies.
Oh, jeez.
So you were limited to 4 shots, period, no matter what. And as you went to the next course, you didn't regenerate any then either.
So you just thought it was the hardest damn game
Yeah, I
ever
thought it was
made.
like an impossible game. And then like somebody had rented it, and I tried their rented copy, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually really fun."
Mhm.
And then I went to play it on the emulator again. I'm like, "Why am I so bad at this on the computer?"
It's funny because Kirby's one of those franchises that, as an adult, I'm wanting to explore more because it's getting to where I'll sit down and I'm like, oh, I want to play a game. Well, that game seems hard, or I'm not going to finish this or whatever. Like, there's not a Kirby game out there except maybe Dream Course.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh, I can't finish that. There's
Right.
no way in hell.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a time thing.
Yeah.
If you put in the time, you'll finish it. There you
Yeah.
go. It's not that damn
if,
hard.
If any of them are going to get difficult at all, it's adventure at the end, and even then, it's definitely doable.
Right. But it's also a game that doesn't punish you too terribly when you
Right.
do die. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's because you can get 1,000 lives in that
Right.
game. Like, they just hand them out.
basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Kirby. I'm sure we'll probably, because now that we've talked about it, now that I've been thinking about it, I'm probably going to go play a shitload of Kirby
Yeah,
games.
there you go.
But
If you need to borrow any, I've got a few.
well, I think I'm going to start with Kirby's Adventure and finally
All right.
get through it. I started on the NES Classic, and I need to get further through it.
Yeah.
And I do want to check out Dreamland too. I've not.
You
want
to just borrow Nightmare and Dreamland and play the proper version of Adventure?
Yeah, maybe. But I'm sure we're gonna do future episodes on specific Kirby
Sure,
entries.
sure.
This is gonna be our only Kirby show.
Nope, this is it.
This is it. Next
This-
one is gonna be Kirby right back at you.
This was all of the information about Kirby in the world.
There's no more.
We covered
It's
everything.
completely every bit
We're
of it.
done.
Oh wait, we forgot the one. It's named after one of Nintendo's lawyer.
Oh yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
during their court cases.
Yeah, I don't remember.
What was his name? I
It's
always
probably
wanna call him-
Kirby.
Yeah, his last name is Kirby.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now that is every.
I keep wanting to say Jack Kirby, but that was the guy who animated Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's the Marvel artist.
So
Yeah.
that's not it.
No, he did not make Kirby.
No.
They didn't name it. Anyway,
Yeah.
that is all the Kirby information that exists. We no longer have to speak
Yeah.
about Kirby
Ever again.
And he was never in Smash Brothers, and we don't need to touch on that
What
at
is
all.
Smash Brothers?
Because he wasn't a critical component in that game or its
You know-
success.
In the Marvel Capcom games, one of the characters is Shumagarath from Doctor Strange.
Right.
And Shumagarath has a move where if you are jumping and you hold down and hit, I think it's middle kick, and hold down and middle kick, he'll turn into stone and just slam into the ground. And I can't do that move without shouting Kirby. Because it's just like Kirby in Smash Brothers.
But we'll be back next week with more stuff. I wanted to do Engage this week, but I haven't even held an Engage
That's
since
for the
7th
best.
grade. So it's
Let me assure you, you'll survive without that. Should we pull out the Engage?
I think we're gonna have to.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, we'll be back next week with some more stuff
Yeah.
and some things.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can maybe record a Let's Play of some sort.
Yeah.
If you have not checked out our Patreon, please do check out our Patreon. I think since recording, we've gained 2 new patrons.
And we are very thankful for them.
Yes, thank you to those peoples.
Yes.
It is at patreon.com/Retro Warriors. You can also go to our website, retrowarriors.net, to find all of our stuff and all of our things.
Yes.
And if you want to reach out to us, please do so on Facebook.
We're
It
most
is-
likely to see it there.
Yeah, most definitely. You can also send us emails and everything else, but I may or may not get around to
Yeah,
them.
we'll
But
get-
we'll see. We'll see.
Who knows?
And I think our next thank you segment is going to be not next episode, but the one after.
It'll be the New Year's episode, I'm guessing.
It'd be new. Well, no, it would be because it's got to go out. I don't know.
We'll
figure
it out.
I don't know why I decided to figure out when to do that right now, but I did.
Now on the air, live.
Anyway,
We're doing it live.
Thank you for listening, and as always, let us cling together.
Let us cling together.